What's up, guys? We're back again with more Snow Queen quests, everybody's favorite. When last we left off, we had just done all of the dream sequence in the Hypnos Tower, where we woke everybody up. So now that we're out of that, we have to go and get our mirror shards from all the people that we woke up, and then we can progress to fight the boss. So it is just a little bit of back and forth. It's not too much because they're not like terribly far away. But it is, it's a few feet. Not the end of the world. So as we go ahead and start moving on through, just a lot of encounters. I really don't mind taking these fights because, again, I really need the experience. So this is the exit to this place, the dream space, whatever you want to call it. Dreamland. I love Kirby. And then once we're through here, we'll start moving back to all the people that we woke up, who will not be sleeping on the floor anymore. They'll actually be awake. So these encounters actually get a little easier once you come out of there, because this floor I think is on like a lower level of encounter than the dream world. And then when we go up to the next floor, it's gonna get a little bit more difficult, but still like everything's manageable, of course. I have a terribly ingrown toenail, and I just bumped into it, and it definitely hurt like a motherfucker. So these Ukaboks, I think, take too long to kill. They're weak to like holy and ice or something, and that's kind of annoying. Yeah, so now they talk about the dreams that they have, where, Hanyo was having the dream of his fucking life because he was the principal and shit. And the actual principal, Oishi was having the most terrible dream ever. And Hidehiko is just like straight to the point. He's like, "Hey, you guys got any mirror shards? You guys seen any broken bits of mirror in your lives? Like, give me that shit." And I respect that. They kind of go back and forth on it for a second, but at the end of the day, like, we're here for mirror shards. Give me the shit. And then, of course, like, see me in my office when we're done with this. After you're done saving the world, my office immediately. And now we have to go and get the Star Trek couple. I think I started to do talks again here because I was like, alright, well, I've maxed out all of my persona ranks. And, when before I go into the next dungeon, I'm going to want to do some fusion, or at least try to do some fusion. Emphasis on try. So these two finally get to be a couple, and that's like their whole story. That's what they get out of their little dream. Yeah, they finally fucking love each other. And Tamaki has the mirror shard that we're looking for, so we all walk out of this pretty freaking happy. Except for the nurse, because she was, you know, she doesn't have anything. She's just kind of like stays really groggy. She's not quite ready to get up. So now we're going to start making our way actually to the end of the dungeon. So we turn back around so that we can go and find some stairs. I don't know what the unlucky status does. I get hit with it a lot. Like misfortune. I don't know what it does. So, yeah, this is definitely a grind. Now, this is really where Hidehiko and Ellie are going to really start to show their dominance. They start getting the area and all hitting attacks. And they generally are able to hit a bit more weaknesses because Hidehiko uses Zon, which is force damage. Ellie uses Ice, which is not, which is a pretty common weakness this early. So now we're up, made it up the stairs. We're gonna keep on trucking through. We're gonna start getting into some of the more difficult enemies, right? Like the the dribblers, and I don't remember what these cat-loving things are. But I never felt very threatened by regular enemies in this dungeon, at least, and the second dungeon. I'm not going to feel threatened by regular enemies until the third dungeon, but I am going to try to take as many fights as humanly possible, because I need fucking experience. Like, I don't even heal. Yeah, this one. Because I just don't feel like I need to at all. So you see how they just like effortlessly kill actually everything? And that gives them all this experience that is going to just keep happening until eventually they're like many, many levels above the rest of our party. And then we're almost to the end. I believe this dungeon was only 5 floors long. And the boss is not terribly difficult anyways. So but this dungeon doesn't have a Velvet Room or a Trish's Spring or really anything. You're really on your own in this one. The other two have both available within them, and you just have to, you might have to like look a little bit. They might be a little bit in, but it gives you access to things because you can't leave at all. So they tried to give you some of the resources. But I don't think this one has it. If it did, it's like very early on. It's not worthwhile to go back at this point, but later it becomes a little bit more worthwhile because you can start the dungeon, try to get some cards, and then hit the Velvet Room really quick. That's why I'm still using like all of my starting personas, and there's really not much I can do about that at all. So now the enemy levels are starting to get up into the late teens, which is a little concerning for me, but not greatly so. Because again, I just don't find a lot of these enemies to be greatly threatening. What I did find to be greatly threatening is the fact that Hidehiko dies, because he's a lot of my damage, and these Nizroks need to be killed with physical. And Yukino's like weird like range on her daggers is really not okay. But this fight gets a little tense because Ellie also died. I don't remember this fight, so obviously I must come out of it on top. But I definitely don't remember doing it. Because I can tell it's getting tense because everybody's fucking dead and Pump keeps getting guilted. There we go. Oh yeah, that's what happened. That happens a few times. I get really lucky with enemies running away when I'm in dire situations. So up this last set of stairs is gonna be the boss room. I'm almost 100% certain. So I remember I just started to talk to some enemies just to like make them leave me alone. It's gonna be something I do a lot more later. Is take advantage of like getting enemies eager and then just asking them for items so that they'll leave. So I do think a really important thing. Oh, excuse me. I do think a really important thing is to just like heal, more or less, almost after every fight, because of how like tight on the HP it is early. And I think that's an issue that persists throughout the entire game for this Snow Queen quest. And also, like, figuring out what things do work and what don't very early is, I think, pretty essential. Because if you're like trying to use ineffective stuff on enemies in a run of the game where you're like perpetually underleveled, you're not having a great time. And that is a very tough lesson that I have to learn later in this game. This is still just kind of like a slow walk up. We're almost at the end. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I think so. There's only 14 minutes left in this recording. I have to imagine I get to the boss, so I'm pretty sure I did it in this one. If I don't, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. So I was hoping to upload that tonight. It's starting to look like... I'm getting worried. Got one more flight of stairs. Alright, yeah, this is the boss door. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're doing it in this video. Man, that shit had me worried. Oh yeah, I definitely dropped the save state on this one, because I was like, fuck, it's gonna suck if I get fucking killed. I do utilize save states in this run, because you can't save in the dungeons at all. So this is where she tries again to get us to just join up and just accept that dreams are so much better. And we just kind of tell her that she's a fucking idiot. So this is where she summons Hypnos for sure, and he's gonna try to do this dirty. So this boss is pretty straightforward. Like, you just kind of hit him. He doesn't have any like great ways of just killing the shit out of you, but he does have some things that can be a little threatening. Having two healers, because you have Ellie and Yukino, is I think one of the better ways to approach it, because you can just deal with all of that pretty easily. I also go for defensive buffs to make sure I stay safe. He's weak to physical types of damage, like actual physical weapons, technical, and gun. So taking advantage of that is really just the way. It is very straightforward boss as a result. But I think it's a good introduction to this whole thing, because he does hit harder than I think a boss normally would if you were just doing the CVAC quest, and that is because you are like doomed to be underleveled. But, you just kind of auto through weapon attacks, Dream Needle if you have it. I think weapons are more effective right now because you haven't had the opportunity to upgrade your guns. And some of your characters like Yukino just never fucking get them. And then just stay on top of it with the heals. He has a spell that hits multiple enemies, which is what kills two people at once. And it's why I recommend using two characters for healing at a time, because it just does a lot of damage. The way that my party is set up is also maybe not the best, because they are kind of grouped, which means they're more susceptible to taking that kind of damage. I really poorly tried to use a reflect stone here to do that, but we finish it. You get a ton of experience, you get a lot of levels. Isa is the only one that got the short stick, and it's because she fucking died and stayed dead. But this is where like a big jump happens. What I went for with this was to just keep all of my stats at the same levels, so I get them up. I do each one by 5s. I hadn't started that at this point, but I do start it going forward soon. So after you beat them, they are forced to move on because they're dead. So she is unfortunately, having to go and actually die now. But the advantage is that, they acknowledge the issues that they had, that, maybe they weren't as great as they thought they were as people. So this is when she passes on. We get a mirror shard for our troubles, emphasis on troubles. And everybody kind of reminisces oh, she wasn't terrible. She was just, horribly oppressed. So now we're out of there. I do run back for a heal and a save. Chat with Nanjo because he's just here. And that's it for this recording, guys. The next time we're gonna start the I don't remember what the second tower is called. The S&M Tower, which is pretty much what it is. So we'll see you guys next time.